Crop circles are hardly reported. Though over 5,000 have been documented, 90% of all these crop circles, they're called Agriglyphs. They've appeared in the proximity of southern England, concentrated around Stonehenge. The few others that have been found in Russia, Europe, and Australia. Very, very few, less than 1% in the Americas. In the past 40 years, they've been found with increasing regularity. They were initially explained away as the result of freak cyclonic winds, cyclones. As these agriglyphs became more and more prevalent, the establishment publicized that the crop circles were the work of people. Two men came forward. They were named Dave, I believe it's Dave Chorley. Dave Chorley is Doug Bauer. Corley or Chorley. These men admitted to creating many crop circles in southeast England in the 70s and the 80s. They focused on the areas around the town of Hampshire and Wiltshire. We are told that these pranksters blanketed England with over 200 different crop circle formations. They accomplished this with a rope and a plank, walking in circles, flattening down the crop. But there are thousands of these agriglyphs that they could not be responsible for. Researchers have noted that the wheat or crops are laid down and woven together, which a plank could not do. Also, the grasses are bent without breaking, even the brittle crops. A mystery when these appeared in wheat and barley fields. Some researchers have detected radiation in the areas of the laid down crops. Investigators have noted that these fields show no signs of intrusion, of footprints, of vehicle tracks, or the presence of machines. Further, these crop patterns appear almost instantaneous, overnight. It's even been documented by a pilot passing over a field hours after passing over the same field that a crop circle had appeared in the time between, just hours between flights. Crop circles are not found incomplete, and that is a problem. I'm going to repeat that. Crop circles are not found incomplete. All right? They've never been found partially finished. They are done when they are discovered. And the sheer complexity of many of these formations would have required many people with scientific measuring instruments and equipment, but there has never been found any trace of this. There has been an eyewitness account to mysterious lights that appear, and in the morning, agriglyphs are in the field. This has led some to believe it's the work of aliens, but I do not believe that. And nor is this a modern phenomenon. The first recorded crop circle is from the year 1678, 344 years ago. There is a pamphlet. Okay, here's a pamphlet in a woodcut preserved from then about this account in 1678. An English farmer, I believe you pronounce it as Hertfordshire. I would say Hertfordshire, but I think it's Hertfordshire. He came out and saw that his field looked like it was in flames at night, but it wasn't a fire. In the morning, he went to investigate, and he found that an agriglyph had been mowed into his field, a symbol. The account read that no mortal man was able to do the like. This event was later called the Mowing Devil of Hertfordshire. The inclusion of the devil was merely a frame of reference by a Christian community that regarded this anomaly as evil. very prestigious modern scientific magazines, Nature, Discover, National Geographic, Scientific American, Popular Science, and a host of other scientific periodicals, they have pushed the narrative that two men, a rope, and a paddle is the explanation that they provide, despite all the scientific, actual scientific evidence and research that has been conducted at these sites. Many serious books have been published about the crop circle phenomenon. These agriglyphs are masterwork Euclidean geometry, fractals, and geometrical planispheres, Julia sets, and even Mandelbrot patterning, and other agriglyphs, all made so rapidly there are no witnesses to the making. There is no evidence of intrusion into the field of footprints of machines or people. And here is a very telling fact. Thus far, no one has come forth and demonstrated live in front of witnesses how to make these geometrically complex agriglyphs. Not one single complex crop formation has been filmed in the making. Why? If it's two men, a rope, and a paddle, then you would have think people would have been lining up to disprove this phenomenon. It's just like the pyramid. Many claim it's not difficult to build, but no one has come forth to build another great pyramid. I have a theory. My theory is linked to the equally mysterious sky-facing glyphs of the Nazca patterns of South America. Those were anciently made by a people who thought someone was in the sky who could look down and see these geometrical shapes and patterns. I have a theory that these were messages. Messages are a form of communication. What we see here at Nazca is the reverse of what we see at Stonehenge or near Stonehenge. Crop circles, agriglyphs, these are a sophisticated form of communication. This is why they started as simple circles and rings, and then double rings, then concentric rings. Then they gradually became complex to draw attention. Once insiders in the intelligence communities realized these are a form of communication, the patterns took on more and more complexity as the receivers on Earth were being educated slowly in the language of geometry and fractals. In my theory, there are secret government insiders who analyze these patterns, secretly obtaining intelligence from someone outside the construct. Because someone on the outside of the simulacrum has they've basically figured out a way how to communicate with those of us that are stuck on the inside. While these insiders here learn from the outside, they also promote the idea publicly that two dullards with a rope and a paddle are traveling the world making these patterns. That these men can make them without being seen, undetected, even patterns with over 400 circles, all varying in diameters and spaced geometrically perfect to the inch over hundreds of feet of area, surface area. No, sir, it's not possible. These men have never actually been seen making a crop circle formation. While I am no genius, it did not escape me that many of these crop formations are patterned in pi and in phi proportions, that the Fibonacci series is evident in the patterning, and that this language is similar to the lithic coding of megaliths like Stonehenge. Lithic codes involve the factoring of planes, angles, corners, and ratios, and in my book, Anunnaki Homeworld, I demonstrate how Stonehenge was a lithic model of the ancient 360-day year, also recording the 23.5 degree tilt or obliquity of our world, and the importance of the month of May, which we know is important to the Phoenix phenomenon. All these are demonstrated in Stonehenge and confirmed by Sir Norman Lockyer. Stonehenge preserves the 5-point geometry of the Sumerian Arab, or 10 angles of 108 degrees, for the calendrical dating of 1080 on the calendar used when Stonehenge was erected, pinpointing the year 2815 BC as something important in the message of Stonehenge. And this is exactly when the Great Pyramid of Giza was finished, in the year 1080 Annus Mundi, or 2815 BC. If I'm confusing, you may need to refer to that book. These agriglyphs that they've appeared in England, they have demonstrated many times a knowledge of the sexagesimal system of ancient Sumerian mathematics. The 6, the 60, and the 600, the 600 day and year, the units of this ancient calendar, as well as a knowledge of 864 as a unifier in all timekeeping systems. Seconds, minutes, days, hours, months, and years are all linked together in mechanical time by the number 864. The messages of the more complex agriglyphs are of a calendrical nature. Crop circles are giving information by basically showing us geometrical representations of timekeeping systems. So, this is why so many of them are obviously planispheres or orbital positions, many having comet symbols coded within them, In patterns of Euclidean fractals, we even find planetary sigils unified with what appear to be coding circuitry and spreadsheets of data. Yeah, some of these are very complex. Here is an agriglyph that can be easily decoded. It is a pattern of 12 pyramids forming a perimeter around a larger central pyramid shape, thus 13 pyramids. 13 is the sacred number to ancient America, whose civilizations employed the calendar round of 52 years, 52-year periods, or 13 times 4. The most artistic and diverse pyramids in the world are found in the ancient Americas, and the ancient American calendar was the Mayan long count, inherited from the older Olmeca. This calendar is of 13 Bactans, each one being 144,000 days. Again, Fibonacci series. It is a number of the golden proportion. These 13 Bactans equaled 5,200 years, 52 centuries of 360 days each, or 1,872,000 days, which I have shown in many of my charts and by a calculator, which actually ends not in 2012, that was all the hype. It actually ends in 2046. This agriglyph seems to confirm this conclusion, for the 13 pyramids seem to be the target here of 33 large circles and 62 smaller circles arranged like approaching comets. 33 times 62 is exactly 2046. When North America, which was founded by the 13 colonies, is destroyed at the end of the 13th Bactan. 2046, North America destroyed. 2046, when Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed in the old world's calendar, as I have shown many times. It was the year 1849 BC, or 2046 Annus Mundi. 2046, the return of the sky dragon of Mother Shipton after its first pass as the Phoenix in 2040. Remember, she said 2 sky dragons, back to back. 2046, also found as a major destruction in the writings of Nostradamus, this quatrains as decoded by Mario Reading in the date index he discovered. 2046 is very harrowing events in Nostradamus' prophecies. 2046 is the end of the Mayan long count. 2046 is the end of the solar year count as recorded in the Great Pyramid's geometry discovered by the engineer David Davidson in the year 1926. 2046 is the return of the Nemesis X object. As I have shown, it has its own chronology independent of all my other studies. And I have shown you guys the charts. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to use your heads. If the scientific community is telling you something is bogus, but their only evidence is two morons with a rope and a paddle and unlimited cash to travel the world and never get caught, then perhaps the establishment may think that you're a little moronic too.